Starting from today, I want to talk about Shobogenzo chapter with the Japanese title Hotsu Bodaishin, which means Arousing of Bodhimind, the Arousal of Bodhimind. Actually, there are two chapters in the Shobogenzo with that title, and to distinguish them, one of them, the earlier one, is sometimes translated as, in Japanese, it's Hotsumujoshin, so it's renamed. It's not the title that Dogen Zenji gave that chapter, but to distinguish it from the other one, it's renamed as Hotsumujoshin, which means arousal of the unsurpassable mind. But basically, it's about the same mind, Bodhi mind. But these chapters are quite different. One of them probably you will find in the third chapter of Nishijima's English translation, and the other one in the fourth one. I'm talking about the later one that maybe you find in the fourth chapter of Nishijima's translation. What's the difference between the two? Simply put, the first one is completely non-dual. So in the first chapter, Dogen Zenji says, Bodhi mind is not something that you will arouse at one point in time and then you have it. Bodhi mind is something that fills the whole universe. Whatever you see and hear is Bodhi mind, is a concrete actual form of Bodhi mind. When you breathe in Bodhi mind. When you breathe out Bodhi mind. When you sleep, you dream inside Bodhi mind. There's nothing in this world, in the universe, that wouldn't be a manifestation of Bodhi mind. It happens every second. So it's not that Bodhi mind, arousal of Bodhi mind is something that happens once in your life and then never again. It's happening every second. It's happening right now. And in the later chapter about the arousal of Bodhi mind that I'm talking about today, Dogen Zenji says something that sounds, at least on the surface, completely different. He starts this chapter, and here I'm translating ad hoc on the, on the spot, from the original Japanese. He starts with saying there are three different minds, and the Japanese word here is shin, which can also be read kokoro, the shin of bodai shin, Bodhi mind. There's three different kinds of mind. In India, so what he means basically is there's three different Sanskrit words which could all be translated, or which actually all were translated as Shin when they were introduced in China. So the Chinese used the same character to translate three completely different Sanskrit words. And the first of those is Chitta. And Chitta means our thinking mind, our distinguishing thinking mind, your mind. When you listen to my talk and try to understand my talk, you might have questions about certain things that I say, other things you understand, other things you agree with or disagree with. And at that moment, that's a working of your Chitta, of your mind is working there. In this moment. The second Sanskrit word is Kalita. I'm not quite sure if it's actually pronounced this way, but that's the way you pronounce the three characters with which this word would be reproduced in Chinese or Japanese. So the second Sanskrit word would be something like Karita, which means maybe something like what in the West we called anima, a life force that you find everywhere in the universe. the animals and also the plants, they are all sustained by this universal life force. That's another Sanskrit word, karita, which can also be translated with this character for Shin. It's a universal mind, a cosmic force. And it transcends the individual. It's not your mind, it's universal. And then the third Sanskrit word, here in the text, it's idita, but I think in Sanskrit it's hridiya. And that's actually what is translated as the Shin in Hanya Shingyo. The Hanya Shingyo in Sanskrit, as far as I know, is Prajna Hridiya Sutra. And Hridiya means something like the essence of the Prajna teachings, the essence of the wisdom teachings. So the Shingyo, the Heart Sutra, in English we say Heart Sutra, so it's kind of the heart of the thing, the heart of the matter. It's the core of the matter. Core would be another meaning. So there's these three Indian words: our thinking mind, differentiating mind, that's one, chitta. The second one, kalita, would be universal life force. And the third one would be, well, the core, the essence. And then Dogen Zenji explains which of these three minds we talk about when we talk about body mind. That I don't know about you. Like, if you had these three options, if you look at the English translation, you already know the answer. But if you wouldn't know, which of these three minds would you say is body mind? Which mind do we talk about when we talk about body mind? My answer would be, well, maybe either 2 or 3. It's certainly not, we're certainly not talking about my personal thinking mind when we say body mind. We might be talking about cosmic mind, and that's how it sounds when Dogen Zenji wrote this earlier chapter on body mind. He says everything in the universe is a manifestation of body mind. So that sounds as if body mind is cosmic mind. Even when I sleep, I'm breathing in, breathing out this cosmic body mind. Or maybe he means the mind that the Hanya Shingyo expresses, the core of it all, the essence, the heart of the matter. But then Dogen Zenji continues, when you arouse body mind, you do it without exception. It's done with your personal thinking, distinguishing mind. You have to start with your mind. And there might be a relation here to, for example, the practice of Zazen. When we start to practice Zazen, well, whose practice is it? It's my practice. I do Zazen. Maybe with the intention to attain Satori in the future, maybe to get more mindful, maybe it just helps me to relax. But if somebody would ask me, well, who's sitting there? Well, I'm sitting. I'm doing Zazen here. But at one point you get to that realization, actually, I'm not sitting here. Zazen is sitting here. Zazen is doing Zazen. Some of us have this realization on the 3rd day of Sesshin, when all fighting and grinding your teeth doesn't help you anymore. But also trying to escape the pain by switching your legs doesn't help anymore. And you have only 2 choices. Either you pack your suitcase and leave Antaiji, or you continue, even if it costs your life. You might decide, I'm going to sit for just one more period. I don't know if I can make it anymore. It's so hard, and I know it's going to get harder next period and the period after that. But I'm going to sit for just another period. I'm not going to fight anymore, but I'm not trying to escape the pain anymore either. I just let everything go. I let body and mind drop. And sometimes we have this experience then that actually you don't have to do Zazen. You cannot do Zazen. It's impossible to do Zazen. But in that moment when you let go, Zazen is doing Zazen. Zazen had been doing Zazen all the time. Actually, it's just that you thought, I'm the one who's doing Zazen here. No. Zazen was doing Zazen all the time. And you just didn't realize it because you were so busy grinding your teeth. I'm gonna fight myself through the session, or trying to escape the situation, trying to somehow find a way out. And the same can happen when you're the Tenzo. The same can happen when you're in the Tambo, the rice fields. At first you think, I'm the one who's working here. But then you realize, no, using an expression that you can find in the Shoji chapter of the Shobogenzo, Life and Death. He says, Dogen Zenji there says, if you let body and mind drop and throw them into the house of Buddha, then from the side of the Buddha, everything will be done. And if you just follow, then without using your own strength and without using your mind, you will leave, or you will be liberated from samsara and yourself become a Buddha. And sometimes it feels exactly like this during a session or during Samu or in the kitchen. You let go and you realize, oh, the Buddha is cooking for me. The Buddha is planting the rice paddies for me. But then there's also the flip side of that. The flip side in the Shoji chapter, the Life and Death chapter, that would be the last paragraph, where Dogen Zenji once more starts that last paragraph with saying, actually, there's an easy way to become a Buddha, which is strange because in the paragraph before, he has already explained how you become a Buddha. Basically saying, just let yourself go, let everything go. And you don't have to do anything extra. Everything's going to be done by the Buddha. But then in that last paragraph, he says, actually, there's an easy way to become a Buddha. Don't do anything evil, bad. Which is strange because in Zen we always, or at least sometimes say, actually there's no evil and good. You have to transcend evil and good. You have to transcend these distinctions. Zen is beyond duality. Zen is beyond good and bad. But then Dogen Zenji at the end of this chapter says, just don't do anything bad and have deep compassion for all living beings, which is also something that we hear a lot in Mahayana Buddhism, but what, for example, you wouldn't find in the Genjo Koan chapter, the maybe most famous chapter of the Shobogenzo, where Dogen Zenji says to follow the Buddha way means to follow yourself, to study yourself. To study the Buddha way means to study yourself. It's about you. It starts with you. It's your practice. But then to study yourself means to forget yourself. It's not about you. Forget yourself. To forget yourself means to be authenticated, means to be manifested by the 10,000 things out there. Whatever you see and hear, there's nothing that wouldn't be you. The mountain, the river, they're all manifestations of you. To be authenticated by the 10,000 things, or some translators say myriad things, means to drop body and mind of yourself and others. Basically what he's saying there, that when you drop body and mind, the drop body and mind of all living beings drop simultaneously. When you do Zazen and you die on the cushion on the third day of the session, the whole universe does Zazen and dies on the cushion with you. And usually when we psychologically die on the cushion, we have this realization, but I'm still alive. So you die and are resurrected on the cushion. And in that moment, the whole universe dies with you, and the whole universe is resurrected with you. And in that moment, it feels as there is no suffering anymore in the universe to be taken care of. I'm saved. I'm saved in this moment, and everything in the universe is saved. And from that standpoint, you might ask, well, what living beings are there that I need to have compassion for? When I sit on the cushion, all problems are solved, aren't there? And of course, we all should know that no, they aren't. Maybe in that moment, it feels like as if they are solved. But I have the feeling that in the Shoji chapter, Life and Death chapter, Dogen Zenji, for exactly that reason, doesn't stop by saying, just let body and mind drop, throw them into the house of Buddha, and everything's going to be done from the side of the Buddha. Just follow without your own strength, without using your mind. You will be liberated from samsara and become a Buddha. Dogen Zenji could have stopped there. He could have stopped there, but for a reason, he didn't stop there and said, well, actually, there's an easy way to become a Buddha. Don't do bad, have compassion for all living beings, and something that especially we Westerners have problems with. He says, respect those above you and be kind to those below you. And we have problems with that because what does that mean? Below, above. I don't want this hierarchical thing here. Isn't that old-fashioned Asian kind of Confucian moral? I thought it's all about transcending those frames and whatever. But Dogen Zenji says also that. Have respect for those above you. Be kind to those below you, to your juniors. And these two paragraphs, or these two sides of Zen, the non-dual Zen and the dual side, the one that transcends common sense and the one that's exactly common sense. These two contradict each other, but they belong together like, well, the two hands in Gassho. And in the same way, these two chapters that I mentioned, arousing Bodhimind, everything in the universe is already arousing Bodhimind. There's no Bodhimind that you need to arouse today. And the other one that I'm talking about today, no, your mind in this precise moment has to arouse Bodhimind. If you don't do it, the universe is not going to do it for you. If you don't place your ass on the cushion, Zazen is not going to do Zazen for you. You have to sit on the cushion. You have to sit through this pain and boredom and frustration on the cushion and in the kitchen and in the rice field. Otherwise, the Buddha cannot help you. These two sides belong together. And yeah, there's probably some other stuff that I said in Japanese, but basically that's the essence, so to speak, the hidia of my Japanese talk. And I think we still have a little time. So if you have questions or anything to share, you're welcome to do so.